I think I'm visible now. It looks yellow. This is really weird. We are live. We are live. We are live. I'm trying to see who is in the house right now. I need to post this in the Patreon. There. Scotty, Ndewo. Hey, Ndewo. This is not the regular time, but I had to do what I had to do. Ndewo. Hey, Scotty, how are you doing? Who else is in the house? Who else is here? Let's see who's all here. I'm not expecting a lot of people today. I didn't post this in Patreon and stuff, but I'm feeling winterish anyway, so we'll see where we go. Once we get 10 people in here, we'll go ahead and begin. Hey, coffee, cake, and conversation. Udo, how are you? I'm doing okay. I'm like I was saying earlier, I feel winterish, and I generally just slow down as a person once it starts getting cold. I think we all do, so that's where I'm at right now. That's how I'm feeling. How are you feeling? What's going on? Udo. We have, once we get to 10 people, we'll go ahead and begin. Well, I may not be expecting a super long conversation today because we are only at 4. I don't know if I'm having an issue with my thing loading or what. Okay, no. Udo. Once we get to 10 people, we're going to go ahead and begin. This is Ask Me Anything. My name, for those who don't know, my name is Derek Father-in-law. I discuss Igbo spirituality, culture, and cosmology, or Odinani, Igbo spirituality. Sima Ngozi Nwanne, kedu ka ị dị? Jishike. I discuss Igbo spirituality here on the Medicine Shell. If you are not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. You need to hit the notification button too, so you get the notification for these discussions. This is Ask Me Anything. I'm here as long as you guys have questions. Once the questions run out, I run out. If something comes up, we can talk about it as well. Primarily want to discuss spirituality, but I'm open to whatever you guys want to talk about. No. Currently finishing up a video on the, well, no, I can't say the topic yet because we had a vote. We had a vote on Patreon. Well, you guys voted on YouTube first. And then I think the top candidates were Anyanwu, the Abara of the sun, the Abara of light, the Oseora, the third eye, I think your cosmic strings, or the strings of your spiritual string, or your spiritual road, your spiritual river, was another one that was very high. And then Afa divination was another one that's high. So one of those topics is going to be my next video. I don't want to say which one it's going to be, but it's going to be one of them. Okay, so Ross family is asking. Well, Ross family, I feel like I know who you are. I feel like we've talked outside of this particular live, but I could be wrong. How does one connect to their Chi and their Ikenga? Okay, we're going to answer that once we get 10 people in the live. Once we have 10 people in the live, I shouldn't have even answered the how are you. I shouldn't have even answered the how are you. But once we get 10 people in the live, we're going to go ahead and begin. Everything looks so yellow. Hold on. Oh, everything looks so yellow. I'm going to mess with the lights a little bit. Whoa. What if I just did it like this? Nah, it's crazy. Nah. I guess it's as good as it gets. Yeah, hold on. Let me compare it to, I'm probably giving someone a seizure, so apologies on that. This is really dramatic. I should just do it like this, right? I wouldn't beat the allegations if I did. Oh, that's bright. It's kind of like metallic looking. No. I guess this is as good as it gets. I need better lights. There was Scott. I hope everybody's eyes are okay. If we get 2 more people on the live, we'll be good to go. We'll begin once we get 10 people on the live. This is Ask Me Anything. I discuss Igbo spirituality. Odinala. I discuss Igbo spirituality here on the Medicine Shell. Who knows where this conversation is going to go? Usually we stay on topic. Usually we don't. I think I had something I wanted to discuss in general, but I'm not remembering it. think I had something I wanted to discuss in general, but I'm not remembering it. Okay, it's coming to me. It's coming. We'll see where this goes. So we need one more person. So if you are in the live right now, grab the link, post it on the WhatsApp, post it on the family group, post it on the group chat, post it Instagram, TikTok, wherever you can post it, Twitter. Post it on Blue Sky, right? The new one they got is Blue Sky. Post it there. Let's get our people in here so we can talk with our village Iquin. I think one of the reasons it's going so slow because I didn't post it on Patreon, so I'm actually going to do that right now because I'm tripping. Hold on. I hope this doesn't close out. I know when I open, we'll be at, we're still at 7. Damn it. No, we're actually at 4 now. No. Udo. Let's see if we can get this one going. Once we get to 10 people, we're going to begin. Once we get to 10, we will go ahead and begin. We are at 3. All right, I'm going to give it like 5 more minutes. And if we can't get to 10, I'm going to sleep. Udo. Actually, I'll answer Ross family's question, then I'll go to sleep. So let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can do it. Oh, for those of you who are interested in learning Igbo, we are signing up for the class that starts in January for Kedu. So if you're signing up for Kedu, or if you're currently in Kedu and you're looking to go to the next level, we're currently signing up for that next level, www.kedu.me. Looking forward to seeing some of you guys who are already in Kedu get to the Igbo 3, the Igbo 3, right? I've had 3 people reach Igbo 3, and one of them only posts an Igbo now on Instagram. And the other one is actually, I mean, let me not tell people's business, but let's just say they took a trip very recently that was very encouraging. I was very happy to see what they did. So Phoenix, ndewo, Phoenix, Village Queen, ndewo. Okay, somebody's asking, Divine King's asking a heavy question. Okay, we're coming. Okay, is asking a heavy question. We are waiting. We need one. Boom, we have hit 10 people. He said, okay, I think it's because I didn't post it on Patreon. So, all right, we are at 10 people. Let us go ahead and begin, okay? Okay, Kekerowa. Alawala. Ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ. Ala na-enye ndụ, na-enye nke ọma dị n'ụwa. Ụmụ gị abịala. Ọ bụ obiọma ka m ji na-ekele ụmụ ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ. Chukwu obiọma na-ekele ndị mmụọ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ. Eji m obiọma na-ekele mmụọ na-esoro anyị na mmụọ anyị ga-afụ ebe anyị na-aga. Ma ọwụ ije Chineke kere ka anyị na-aga n'ụwa. Anyị ji aka ọcha aga ya. Anyị ji obiọma aga ya. Anyị ji uche ọma aga ya. Anyị ji okwu dị ọcha aga ya. Maka na enweghị ihe dị njọ anyị tiri aka n'ụwa nke ọbụla bụ ihe ọjọọ na anyị amadị. Biko nyere anyị ike ka anyị fụ ya, ka anyị jisi ike ahapụ ya. Otu aka ọ ga-adị na eke, n'orie, n'afọ, na nkwọ. Ise. Let us go ahead and begin. Okay, I'm going back to the top question. How does one connect to their Chi and their Ikenga? So there's many ways a person can connect to their Chi, and there's many ways a person can connect to their Ikenga. But connecting to one will allow you to connect to the other. They are interchangeable to an extent. So your Chi brings you into the world for a purpose. Your Ikenga is what your Chi gives you in order to actualize that purpose. So the most basic way, or the most given based on that way to connect to your Chi and your Ikenga, is to walk in your purpose. When you are in your purpose, your Ikenga is activated, right? When you are in yourself, your Ikenga is activated. People tell this story, or there's this, let's call it a parable or a story, folklore, of the lion, or I think it's the tiger that was raised with sheep, right? And so you raise a tiger with sheep, and the tiger spends its whole life being made fun of. Its fur is not fuzzy. It's big. They're making fun of it because of its size, the way it looks, the stripes on its back, the fact that it doesn't produce wool, all these different things. This tiger is a tiger that is not walking in its path, that is not living in its path, that is not abiding by its chi, by its akaraka. And because of that, its ikenga does not activate. But when a tiger learns that it's a tiger and begins to behave like a tiger, then the tiger's ikenga activates because the ikenga is that superpower. Let's call it that. It is a superpower that you are given to actualize who you are, and what you will become. Okay, so the most basic way to connect with your chi and your ikenga is to connect to your truth, to connect to your actuality, not what you think you should be, but who you actually are, right? Another way to connect to your chi and ikenga is, and this is from my own experience, the ikenga and the chi activate based on need. They activate based on need. Sometimes we are always connected to them, right? And I want people to understand that we're always connected. You're always connected to your chi. You're always connected to your ikenga. It's like saying, "How can I connect to my heart and my brain?" Right? You're always connected to them, but your heart, like your heart and your brain, your chi and your ikenga will show you their magic. They will show you the depth of their ability. They will show you the scale of what they can do based on how much you need them, right? So sometimes your ambitions, your pursuits, your thoughts are not grand enough or don't go far enough to cross that threshold where you see that you actually do have powers, right? So a person may want to, okay, I want to connect to my chi and I want my chi to do this and this and that, but if you're just living your regular life, you got things you want to do, but you're not necessarily pursuing them, or you have this reality you want to actualize, you're not going after it, then you're not going to feel anything. So once you start going for those that big thing, sometimes when you go for that big thing or go for that thing that seems beyond scope, you'll really see that you have powers out here, right? Um, there is I can't remember there's an elu that ties to it, but my brain's not clicking the way it usually does today, so I can't remember it right now. But either way, that's another way you can connect too. You're always connected, but if you really want to see the extent by which you're connected, scale up what you pursue. Hey, Kaba. Scale up what you pursue. Scale up your mm, scale up how actively you pursue your path, and you will see the extent of it, right? So Scotty said it had froze. Yeah, I see that. Okay, in the past that you said Nriaro, Chuku, Osu, and pythons have the same spiritual signature. Yes. What do you mean by pythons? You mean the animal? Yes, I mean the animal. And also, what is the significance of teeth sharpening in Africa? Okay, so as far as all of those things and people, so the animals and the people, they are all connected to Allah. They are all connected to Allah, and they therefore serve as messengers for Allah, for a lot of communities, and so forth, and Igbo people in general. Okay, so because they are messengers for Allah, there are certain rules that go around the regard and the treatment of them, and so forth, and just yeah, in general. Significant of teeth sharpening in Africa, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know because I don't. I wouldn't doubt that at a time it was done in Igbo land, but as of the past 500 years, it's not something you find in Igbo land, um, at all. I think you find it more in like Central Africa. But as of the past 500 some years, it's not something you find in Igbo land at all. It's not something that was documented or kept in folklore at all or anything like that. So I'm not saying that it never existed. There's a chance that it just wasn't done. Yeah, there's a chance that it wasn't done, but it's hard for me to say um, what it's about or why people do it. It could just be aesthetic. It could just be they thought it looked good, right? Um, I will say this though, as far as Igbo people, historically we didn't do a lot of scarification and things like that. We didn't do a lot of body modification historically. So like even like tribal marks, we really didn't do that. Some people try to say that like a cut right here is an Igbo tribal mark, but that's like for like if you were born and they suspect you're Obanje, they'll do that to as a part of the ceremony to get rid of it. So it's not it's a medicinal thing. It's not even a tribal mark. So yeah, we didn't really do too much of that. Oh, never mind. I had an old Scotty, about to say something heavy. I had a dream that an old woman gifted me Afa beads, but I didn't speak Igbo. I need to learn Igbo. Do I need to learn Igbo to start learning Afa? Um, yes, yeah, I would say so. You can do without it. Okay, you can do it without it, but it's stronger with it, right? You can do without it, but it is stronger with it. Afa itself has its own language, okay? So it has a language that is that Igbo and it are interchangeable, like they're kind of related, but you there's a difference. It's almost like I'll use maybe like the difference between like Spanish and Portuguese, right? You know, there's a connection there, but you know, there's difference. And so Afa has its own language, so that's the language you'd actually have to learn. Learning Igbo makes learning Afa a lot easier. It makes that transition easier. But you can do without. You'll be all right. Either way, you know, we have Kedu, which you've heard me talk about a lot. So we would really be happy to have you be one of the students there. Odema. In the traditional medicine class, we learn Afa as well. We learn Afa as well. Well, I had Afa recently. I was advised to get. Okay, cool. All right. I did Afa recently and was advised to get to know. Okay, and was advised to get to know Onubo leaf. Hold on, for deeper communication with my chi and my Ndimiri. Do you have experience with this plant? I eat it all the time. I have experience with it as food. Yeah, I haven't used it for anything spiritual, but I've experience with it as food, as food. But again, when you're dealing with the debia, so you're probably solving a problem or you're trying to get resolution to some type of problem. So the recommendation to use that leaf is probably specific to you and whatever the afa revealed or whatever you brought to the debia. Okay. But yeah, I use it as in soup all the time. I've never used it spiritually. Right. Okay. My grandfather's teeth were sharpened, and he was from Mbo Ejogun. Divine King, can you explain where Mbo Ejogun is? Oh, interesting. Okay. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. It's so funny for like the new generation that that's just what you know Puff Daddy for is baby oil freak offs, right? Like it's so funny. Like that's just what it's gonna be, you know, which you know, it's a hard thing to ignore. Okay, so anyways, going back to Mbo Ejogun, people have 5 market days. Onkwo, Owokwo, Onkwo. I've heard about this. Yeah, so I've heard there's a community in Ebonyi State that has 5 market days. I don't know the history of that. I don't know what's going on over there. Owokwo, Azokwo, Enugwe, and Ekoshi. Do you know the meaning of? No, I don't. So I've been told that I've been made aware that there's a community somewhere in Ebonyi State, which you are letting me know that it's you guys. There's a community in Ebonyi State that has 5 market days, and they're not Eke Ori Afonkwo. Okay, around Abakaliki. Okay, Odemma. So yeah, you would have to. I would love if you can get some information on that and circle back and teach me. You know, that would be dope because I don't know too much about. I heard there is a community somewhere in Ebonyi State that has 5 market days, and it's not Eke Oria Afongo. So I'd be curious to know why that happened. Funny enough, I was just reading. Where's the book? I was just reading a book about Agu. Oh, it's over there. I don't want to reach over there. But a book about Agu. When he was talking, the author is from Ebonyi State, so he was talking about the different Abara in their community. He was talking about I don't think he mentioned the 5 market days, so maybe his community doesn't do 5 market days. But yeah, I've only ever heard of 4. I don't understand the 4, so well, never mind. Maybe it's like I don't know. Maybe it's influenced from another culture as well. I don't know. You know, well, never mind. Guys, looks like we're all out of questions. Which book? Oh, Malicha. If you ask. I'm just kidding. I get it. All right. So the book is a philosophical concept, Agun in Igbo land. Okay. This is the cover. It's all smudgy. Philosophical concept, Agun in Igbo land. This is the author. I don't know his name. Hold on. His name, funny enough, is Agun, Christopher Agun. So Agun, Christopher Agun wrote a book on Agun, right? But he's from Ebonyi State, right? And Ebonyi State is kind of on, like geographically is on the periphery of Igbo land. So just usually when you get cultures that are on like the peripheries of things, they're gonna have a different take on certain things. So certain a lot of what he says here is really interesting. I was reading some of the stories that he was sharing here. It's a very much a general overview, but he gives a lot of very like details about Agon specifically that I myself haven't even shared on this channel. So and then so in my last live I talked about how there's a book where it gives a pretty good balanced take on Agon, the good and the bad and so forth. So that's the one. I'd recommend it. So far so good. I'll do mine. Also, is there a link to your Dropbox? Okay, Omalicha, message me on Patreon. Message me on Patreon. I'll send you the link to the you should have I should have sent it to you like right when you joined. But if I didn't, thank you for your patience. Message me on Patreon and I'll send that to you, okay? Achọrọ m inweta otu. Okay, yeah. Jee zụta ya, ọ nọ na enwere eji ya na Amazon. Eji ya na Amazon. Ọ dị mma. Our main gods in Mbo Ejiogwu are Ahokwashi and Amufu. Ahokwashi, can you give me the characteristics of them? I just joined, so I shall. Okay, no Nsobwadigi, right? Nsobwadigi, Odema. So as far as everybody who is in the village, this past week I was not feeling well at all. And I was not on the ball with a lot of stuff. So you joined last week. Maybe I didn't send you the link, that kind of thing. Like I said, I wasn't feeling well and I was traveling. Was it this past week or week and a half, really? A week and a half. So I'll do mine. Can you talk about your Chi Onyowa? Absolutely. Absolutely. So your Chi Onyowa, right? Chi Onyowa. Chi Onyowa. So Onyowa, right? Your Onyowa is your past life self, right? So I will use your Agon and your Onyowa and your Chi-Owa interchangeably, right? The three terms, Chi-Owa, Onye-Owa, and Agon. I will use them interchangeably. I'll sometimes even say Onyilo, your returning person. This is who you were in the previous life. This is the part of your essence that will come back into this world again and again and again in a different body um, uh, through the family, right? Your onyowa, the reason this part of you keeps returning is because, as far as purpose goes, your purpose and their purpose is linked, right? You are chapter 2 or chapter 10 of their previous purpose, right? So earlier we talked about connecting to your chi and your ikenga. Your ikenga, their ikenga is going to manifest the same abilities, right? So you're coming into the world with the same purpose. You're going to have a lot of things that you carry over from the previous life, different lessons you learned, decisions you've made, and so forth. So your onyowa becomes very important because if you call your onyowa to guide you, the questions like how do you learn your purpose and things like that, they become more let's use the word instinctive because the key is developing a direct connection with your onyowa, right? Now the thing that your onyowa and you share in common is it's the same agon, right? The same thing your onyowa and you share in common, it is you have the same agon, the same agon. Everybody is made up of four elements. Chi, eke, urie. I'm chi, okay. Your chi, eke, agon, and mo. and more, right? And your all of these parts go their way when you pass, but that agon part will come back again as a new child, right? And so it is a continuation of a purpose. If you were a dibia in the previous life, automatically you were born a dibia in this life, right? They say that a dibia or a shaman, medicine man, I don't know how you want to call it, a healer, perfect, a healer. So they say that a healer is not made, they are born. A healer is not made, they are born. Like we have a traditional medicine class, but I always encourage anybody that wants to sign up that this is for if you have the calling, if you know this is who you are, right? That's what the class is for. It's for if you know this is who you are, right? Adema, Jishikan. So Omalecha, really good question. Thank you for that. Hokwashi is male, Amufu is female. Beyond that, I don't know. I'm sorry. Odema. So there's probably Alanigwe Chineke, right? The Ahokwashi is Chi, Amufu is Eke. Um or Alanigwe or Fonugu. So all them same thing. So yeah. Some of these concepts I'm using, so I'll use like a very general term, but different communities will have different names for them, right? Different communities will have different names for it. All right. Sima says, Keduki de Derek. Why is the python sacred animal? No, Denani. Such a good question. Okay, we're gonna go deep. All right. We're gonna go deep. So the python in Udinani, right? The python is a sacred animal because the python is a messenger for the sacred, right? So the python carries messages from the river, the feminine abara, all of the feminine abara can channel messages or channel their presence by way of the python. In a lot of communities, if their main abara is the river, like in my community, the main abara we deal with is Njabangwo, right? It is said that Njabangwo owns the land that we're on. And the python is the animal form of the Njabangwo. So the reason I said deep is because we're going to talk about something that I'm going to talk about a lot in my next video, which is this idea of fractals, right? So if you understand fractals, you will not only understand Odinani, but you will understand any African spirituality you run into, like the real Africa. There's some not real Africans out there. Right? Right. So you'll understand any African spirituality you'll run into, right? And the reason is this is because all of creation is a finite pattern, right? A pattern, a limited pattern, repeating itself infinitely on different levels. Okay. So, like I didn't have the word fractal in my vocabulary, but in one of my very first videos, I spoke about this idea like the Russian doll, where I don't know if you know those little Russian dolls where it's like a big doll and then you open it, and there's a little one in there, and you open it, and there's another one in there, and you open it, and they're all the exact same doll, but it's just different little ones. That is how Odinani, that is how the universe, that is how creation manifests as according to the ancestors. And so the python is the animal fractal, the animal, like on the animal level, it is the same thing as the river. On the animal level, it is the same thing as the earth. Just like the dog on the animal level is the same thing as Agun, right? The turtle or tortoise, sorry, on the animal level is the same thing as Agun. The eagle on an animal level is the same thing as Anyangu, right? Um, the sun on a nature level is the same thing as Chuku, right? But there's another level, which is the cosmic level, which is now Chuku, that kind of thing. Allah on the nature level is the same thing as Eke. So the all of these things manifest. The Dibia on a human level is the same thing as Akun. The leader, the Igwe, is the same thing as Igwe, as Amadioha, right? The leader, Amadioha, that kind of thing. The mother is the same thing as Allah on a human level. So it's just this pattern. Anytime I tell you a story about the Abara and all these different things, just know that whatever pattern is being described will repeat itself in your own essence, in your own life, and so forth, right? Now, in an individual human, as an individual human, that same python is an energy known as Akko, is an energy known as Akko, right? Some dialects they say Aro, right? And what that is consciousness, sentience from the earth, or from the mother flowing into you as a person. Just like uche is consciousness from the father flowing from the father into you as a person. Uche comes by way of the son, because again, remember Chuku, son, that kind of thing, comes by way of the son as Abia, and then Ako comes from the mother, right? It is said that Ako has a snake-like feel when it hits you. Ako also gets translated as intellect. It is your worldly knowledge intellect, right? The thing that that we use to decipher reality, right? That curiosity led aspect of knowing, of wisdom and so forth, right? Fibonacci sequence, exactly, yeah. Fibonacci, I can't say nothing, right? Yeah, that little Italian sequence, you're correct. Yeah, same thing, exact same thing. So all of these different concepts, if I bring up an Abara, if I bring up this and this and that, like Ikenga, Amadioha is the same thing. It's just the skies, or the Chukwu's Ikenga is Amadioha, and then your Ikenga is your Ikenga, right? That kind of thing. But Ako is serpentine, right? So my next video, I talk about the book of Genesis, right? The book of Genesis. And if you pay attention to what's going on in the book of Genesis, um, you get the woman, right? Eve. She goes to the tree, which is also a symbol for Arobinagorako. And from the tree, the python, or I'm sorry, the serpent, which is also Ako, tells her to eat the fruit. And then she eats the fruit and she gains what? Worldly knowledge, she gains intellect. She gains intellect, right? Intellect, all of that. All three of those things were symbols for Akal, the feminine, right? All three of those things were symbols, you understand? So then she gains intellect, you understand? With this intellect, right, she then goes and gives Akal to Adam, right? Or as Nebo say, Ibem Zimako, my peers can give me Akal, my peers give me intellect, right? And so, yeah, that's what they're talking about in Genesis. I've been really, as of recent, I've been really interested in deciphering what is happening on a cause, like esoterically in different folk tales and so forth, right? Those of you who know the story of Mbe the tortoise when he goes up to Obi Chukwu and that kind of thing, the story is actually about Uche. It's about Uche, right? That Adam and Eve is about Akal. This one's about Uche, right? In both places, they get kicked out for misbehaving. So, I'll do all right, let me go. Okay. Ụfọdụ nwa enyi m ndewo. Arenna ndewo nwanne, ka ị dị. Afụrụ m otu ị na-eme mgbatị ahụ ndị mmadụ na Instagram. Mgbe ọbụla m bịara Dallas, aga m achọta gị. Ọ dị mma. Is it possible for my Chi Onyowa, okay, to visit me in dreams? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's common. I believe we have interactions. That's incredible. Amalicha, that's a very good thing. It means you're growing. You're on your road, you're on your path, right? So that's wonderful. That's good. But yeah, it's very normal. It's very common once you hit like a certain level of readiness, your Onyowa will begin visiting you. Ademma. What do you think about Wu Sabat? I don't know what that is, Abe. So if you can explain what Wu Sabat is, I would appreciate it. Oracle of Delphi, which Apollo controlled, was found on top of a more ancient oracle to an earth goddess. Yeah. A monster named Python was the earth goddess intermediary. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So one of the things about Apollo in Greek mythology, Apollo represents male dominance, right? Apollo represents male dominance, right, over women. And so it's common for things that belong to Apollo to originally belong to a female goddess and then got converted over into Apollos and so forth. But yeah, Apollo was the god of the red pill, you know. So I'll do my, but everything you said makes perfect sense. I was looking into Orpheus, the story of Orpheus in Greek mythology pretty recently. It's fascinating ass stuff. So I'll do more. Will you do a course on Ikenga? I've made a video. I've made a video on Ikenga, but I don't like talking about things till they're done or they're ready to be done. But I am working on something concerning Ikenga, and I think you'll like it. If you're interested in the course, I think you'd like it and what I'm presenting. But yeah, no, the Ikenga is something I do need to make a specialized focus on. I'm willing to pay for a course specific on Ikenga and Chi. Okay, I'll consider it. That was deep download. So the Python is related to Kundalini energy. Aha. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Yeah, it's the same thing. That's what's being described. The chakra up, traveling up the chakras, that kind of thing. Going to Ubichuku and so forth. Think about the story of Odachi Nebere, where Eke, right, out of her curiosity, goes up to Obichuku, opens the door, and then what was being built in there manifests outwards and so forth, right? And then Chuku cries, the tears. DMT, I don't know, who knows, but he cries the tears, the Oshimiri brings her back to life, that kind of thing. So, yeah. No, I talk about all that in the next video. I think, Sima, I think you'll like the next video. That was a good connection. Interesting that I call is intellect when Western science classifies the left brain as mask, intuition, right brain is feminine. Maybe I don't know why we do that, but yeah, I call it intellect. I call it intellect, right? It's the wisdom that you use to decipher the world, right? It is wisdom from Mado, and then Uche is wisdom from Moi. Now, when you're speaking Igbo, you can casually just use Uche to just say wisdom, intelligence, brain in general. Um, Akol gets used for idea a lot. Akko gets used for idea or like intellect, but if you really want the spiritual, deep nitty gritty of it, then that's what it is. Oh, biko ka anyị hụrụ mgbe agara m Houston ma ọ bụ ịbịa Dallas, nsogbu adịghị. Aga m azịga gị ozi na Instagram maka ya mgbe ọbụla nọ na ama gị. Ọ dị mma. Is Ekwensu one Abara or a class of spirits or both? Oh, that is a good question. Ekwensi is a class of spirits. It's like a species of spirits, right? Ekwensi. And then among the Ekwensu is the dominant main one, right? Is the main one. Just like Nemiri, there's Nemiri, but then there's Uamiri, which has a whole bunch of spirits that are related to water and so forth. So the term you're looking for is Ekwensi for the class, and then Ekwensu is the main spirit, right? Ekwensu is the crash out spirit. Let's see here. Ancient Egyptian culture before whitewashing, perhaps. Can you explain the irishi? Okay, can you explain what irishi are and how they're created? This is such a good question. Okay. An irishi, an irishi is a space, a device, anything you use to channel energy, right? Anything you use to channel spirit, anything you use to connect spirit to human beings, right? Um, so what an Irishi ends up being for a lot of communities is a communication portal, right? A communication portal. Now, what is being communicated with? When your ancestors, what Odinani really is, right, is coexistence. So you go into a new environment. You are not only coexisting with the people you live with, you're also coexisting with the spirits that you're there with. You're coexisting with the elements of nature that are there, like the earth. You're coexisting with the sky there. You're coexisting with whatever spirits are in the forest here and whatever is so on and so forth, right? So Irishi get built as a means of establishing communication between person or people, very specifically people and spirits, right? Now we use the term Irishi when it's like a big public one. That's why I said people when it's a big public one. But your altar is something similar, right? You're using your altar to as a meeting point for you and your ancestors, you and your chi and so forth. So that becomes an Irishi in its own way too, right? That's again that fractal kind of Fibonacci. I don't know why I can't say it today, but sequence type of thing where on one level then it manifests on a smaller level and so forth, right? just like in the story of Odachi Nebere, the big cosmic story that created the universe, Obi Chukwu is the irishi, right? Obi Chukwu is the irishi that's used to create the universe, right? And so forth. So irishi are created. It's hard to say how irishi are created, right? But what I know is that an irishi is as valuable as it works, right? If anybody can say I've created an irishi, right? Anybody can say, oh, I've created this irishi, it does this, it does that, blah 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 blah. But if you go there and it doesn't do what they claim, then it's not. They haven't really done it. So the irishi that stand the test of time are the ones that have shown that they work time and time and time and time again. Unless like church people went and burnt it down, that's a whole different thing. But they're the ones that show that they have worked. So as far as how people have their different methods and so forth, but what I do know is that in my part of Igbo land, the people who open irishi and manage the irishi are individuals known as osu. Osu. So they have the human imprint, spiritual signature that is connected to the earth, connected to Allah. Some people are Osumiri, so they're connected to Nemmiri. Some people are Osuigwe, so they're connected to Amadioha. But there are certain human beings that are born, like for example, Adibia is an Usuago, right? Adibia is an Usuago. So there are human beings that are human um, manifestations or human extensions is the good word, human extensions of certain abara, certain elements of nature. And because they are what they are, they then have the ability to open an irishi. Now, if a person is making the claim, they should be able to open an irishi and they should be able to work. If a person is, some people don't know they have this gift and they try it and it happens. There was an individual, I'm hoping he's actually in this live right now. There's an individual in our traditional medicine class who he's always had a gift for building shrines for people, for building altars for people and so forth. So this is this, and he's been doing it for years, so obviously knows what he's doing. So this is an example, right? So some people just have the imprints, the gift. Irishi cell phone, perfect example. Solar panel, Irishi. Wi-Fi receiver, Irishi. The word Irishi means the source of where works are coming from. The source of works, right? The source of works. The source of works, right? So yeah. Fibonacci. Okay. Fibonacci. Whatever. We're gonna pass on that today. Adema. Um, somebody's asked a funny question. Can you explain? Okay, cool. Okay, here comes a funny question. What are your opinion on about Simon Ekpa and his recent arrest? Yeah, Simon Ekpa is a wild man, you know. Simon Ekpa is wild. But Simon, he'll be okay. He'll be okay. One of the things that is obvious about him is that everybody seems to underestimate him in a lot of ways, and the government in Finland knows who he is, right? And he'll be okay. He's fine. I believe he was released, but I'm not sure. I haven't followed the story. He'll be okay, he'll be okay. And if he's not, there'll be another. But either way, um, yeah, he's been wilding. But he knows why he can talk the way he does on air. He knows why he knows why. So he knows he's okay, right? That kind of thing. And yeah, he knows his rights in the place he lives, right? This isn't Kenya where they'll just put you in a bag and drag you back to Nigeria. But Simon Ekpa knows his rights in the place he lives because he's a very, very well respected citizen in the place he lives. He's a very integral part of the community and the country. I believe he represented them in the Olympics. He's ranked in their military, just a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, he'll be fine. He's okay. But yeah. Hey, Kaba. Tablet. Can you play tablet? Mm-hmm. Sure. Oh. Yeah. So how does one understand the pattern? Like, how can we learn the different manifestations of certain outbar? I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Scotty, no, that's a good question. So, the best way to know the pattern is know the original pattern is Chineke, right? Which people say in reverse. It's actually ekenachi. Ekenachi. Okay? Ekenachi is the actual order, right? And if you know the pattern, you'll know why I said it, what I'm saying, what I'm saying. So the source is ekenachi. Everything is ekenachi, right? And just understand that so long as something has an eke, it's going to have a chi, right? So long as something has an eke, it's going to have a chi. So long as something has a chi, it's going to have an eke, okay? And then you follow that pattern into different places. So there is Allah, right? Allah and Igwe, right? What is the nature of the chi? The chi is non-manifest, right? In my first video, I said the chi is not real. And I mean that. It's not a part of reality, right? It's conceptual. But the eke is real. It is the chi physically manifested. Okay, so what do we look at? Allah, the earth, and then Igwe. Igwe is the chi element of that. I can't put Igwe in a cup, which is sky. I can't put sky in a cup. I can't really measure sky. It's a general concept. When I say sky, we all know what we mean, but it's the more you look at it, the less you see, right? And so forth. So then the sky is the masculine, the earth is the feminine. That manifestation is going to tell you different things that you would need to know about the next set of manifestations. So like Madonna more. Anytime you hear those dualities, pay attention to them. Ofodogu, Madonna more, Ekenachi, but they say Chineke. Um, Anyanwu Nabara. Um, I could just go on and on and on. Eject and Woko, these different types of things. When you hear those dualities, pay attention to them. The first one is the Eke. The second one is the Chi. The first one is physical manifested. The second one is non-manifest. Okay, and then as far as the Abara goes, learning like how they manifest in their different forms, it's really the same thing. It's really the same thing. But then there's certain Abara that have very specific characteristics, right? Like Amadioha, Agho, and so forth. Just that will be less obvious. I guess you just have to like learn it one by one. Like you'd have to learn what animal represents Amadioha, what animal represents Ekwensu, what animal. I'm sorry, I said Ekwensu for tortoise, for Agho before. It's actually tortoise. The tortoise for Ekwensu. As you guys are noticing, I'm not I'm not all there today. So tortoise for Equinsu. Um, but yeah, from there you just figure out what animal goes to this, what animal goes to that different abara, and those different things, right? What type of human is connected to this abara? What type of human is connected to that one, and so forth. So, yeah, that's the pattern. That's the pattern. Pay attention to the folklores too, folklores, right? Because those are patterns too. Those are patterns too, right? So I told the story in one of my videos how Chukwu had the Abara building the universe, and the Abara began to wonder which among them was superior to who, right? Which one did Chukwu favor? Which one was more powerful? Which one was more useful? And from there, they began having a conflict, and then they were about to tear each other apart, which means they're going to tear Chukwu apart, right? And so Chukwu silenced them, and he put them in four houses. Eke, Uri, Afo, Nkwo. He put them in pairs of twos. Remember what I was saying about the Chineke pattern, right? Or Ekenachi pattern. Puts up in pairs of twos, and then tells them that whatever one, if you guys are arguing about who has more what or who is more superior, whatever one has more has more than the other, let them meet in the center and trade until they reach balance and go home, right? So that story is how Igbo people build their communities, right? That community building structure, how you organize a family, that family organizing structure, how you manage the individual life, right? How you manage the individual life. So interpret it how you wish, but that's really what it is. Have you seen Sanguru talk about the cobra in Hindu? No, I haven't seen that. I've seen some videos from Sanguru, but I don't know that specific one. So if you can explain the cobra in Hindu, that'd be dope. But generally, when you're seeing, not even generally, this is universal. It's universal. You said the gift. Yeah, you said the gift for reading lines of the body is disappearing. I don't think the gift is disappearing. Gifts don't disappear, but a lot of people have gifts that they're not aware of, right? a lot of people have gifts and they're aware of them. They don't know it's a thing. So I made my video on Akaraka about the lines on your hand. And one of the things I said is that these lines extend through your entire body. Some of the comments were saying, "Hey, I knew this. I've been seeing them my whole life. I just thought it was just some weird thing I can do, you know? Those types of things." So what's good about Odinani or getting the message out as far as Odinani goes is a lot of people have these things in them, right? They have them in them, and then sometimes you need to hear it from the outside to know it's a thing and it has a context and so forth. Otherwise, it's just you and the and whatever your society or life experience has taught you that your gift is, right? So the art is disappearing because people are not aware, but there are people who can see the lines all over people's body, right? The brown lines all over people's body, similar to the lines on the hand. There are people who can see them. They just don't know that there's a whole art form that goes into like tattoo, using it for tattooing and that kind of thing, right? If you, some of you guys can see these lines, let me know. All right, where are we at? Igbos claim to be the first humans ever created, he said. And I learned that Igbos have ancient Kyosan DNA, whom science acknowledges the oldest human. Do you know anything about that? I don't know anything about them having Kyosan DNA, but I do know that Igbo people, as far as Odinani goes, asserts that they are the first people. There's a lot to say that the word Igbo means the original people, right? Angelica Pickles, and there will. Can you speak on Itraja and Odinani? Yes, absolutely. Itraja is what we call sacrifice, right? Itraja is what we call sacrifice. Itraja is giving almost always the blood of an animal as a means of exchange for one thing or another, or as a means of acknowledgement, right? So Itraja has a lot of reasons that it is done, but I'll go specifically into the concept of blood. So it's interesting. I was making in the last video I was making, I cut this part out and I'll put it in another video because I don't want this video to be too long. But it's interesting too. So I talk about the two forms of wisdom a person can receive, Ako and Uche, right? Ako and Uche. So Ako and Uche in the color sequence are represented with red and white. So a lot of times you'll see Dibias wearing red and white. You'll see the traditional cap. I got white feathers up there. I don't know if you guys can see them. Traditional red cap with the white feather or the striped red and white cap. Historically, there's been a bunch of different hats that are used to represent that, and they're either leopard, which the yellow and black are interchangeable with the red and the white. They're either leopard or they are leopard, or they are just they're different, but usually just red and white is used a lot, right? And so forth. And so when you in the human body, this manifests as blood, red, ako, and light, uche, right? And so forth. So if you think about the two string systems or ete systems in your body, which are the blood the blood system, right? This your blood cardiovascular system, and then your nervous system, right? So both of those things carry they carry alcohol and uche, or in the liquid and light form, right? But alcohol and uche are both a thing called ose, right? OSE. And ose is like best way to explain ose. Ose is like is power, right? It's like a power. You understand? So your blood has a power, or blood has power, and light has power, right? But it's a certain power, right? It's intention. It's pure intention. A good way to explain those is, I don't know if you guys have seen those things where like they'll lay sand on a table and you'll play a sound and the sand will take the shape of the sound. Imagine the sound as ose, right? And that ose can affect things one way or another, right? So one of the reasons Itracha is done, blood is used for Itracha, is because it's power, it's life, it's a life force, and so forth. Another reason Itraja has done with blood is you got to really think about the society you're in, right? People are killing their own food, right? You're not buying chicken from the grocery store. I mean, people do it now, but historically, you're not buying chicken from a grocery store. You're killing the chicken, right? And so the meat goes to the madu, to the people, and the blood, that ose, right? That red is going to more. So you're giving the ancestors their portion, which is the life force, which you have in abundance, and then you're taking the animal for the rest of the family and so forth. So Itraja is acknowledgement. That form I explained is acknowledgement, right? We're killing a cow, okay? Give the blood to the ancestors, and then give the rest to the living. It's used as a form of exchange. So a lot of there's this ilu that says wabwahia, the world is a market, and a lot of the abara, almost completely the female abara, the feminine abara, they work based on exchange, right? They don't just work. They got to get something for what they give you, right? They get something for what they give you, or if you give them, they give something back, right? So when you're dealing with the female abara, sacrifice is common, um, and so forth, right? Like you can sacrifice to um, Allah, but you don't like sacrifice to Chuku, right? That kind of thing. Um, and yeah, that's really it. There's a lot of reasons Itraja has done. Check out my video, Itraja Explained. There's a lot of reasons Itraja has done, but just know it's an exchange of force from one place to another, which then can make something happen. Now, as far as Itraja goes, there are many ways you can do that. So one is sacrifice. Honey works as well. Water works in some instances. Tree pulp works in some instances, and trying to think of some other ones. I had a list of them in the video I made. So, but different irishi take different things, right? Different irishi take different things. Um, Another thing too, so I had a Debia teach me that it's not the blood that is the valuable thing in Itracha, it's the blood plasma. But that ancient, like back in the day, we couldn't separate the two. It was just all in one, so it's whatever. But it's not the platelets of blood, it's the blood plasma. And because of that blood plasma aspect, which is the more of the blood. If you understand again that fractal thing, right? So the blood you have has two forms. It has the platelets and it has the plasma. Plasma is like a yellowish thing that the platelets swim around in, just like your aura, your light is your more is light that you swim around in, right? That surrounds you. And so yeah, the plasma goes to more, goes to more. The plasma goes to more, that kind of thing. Or the more. All right. Do you know why West Germany, Rhodesia, and apartheid South Africa sided with the Igbos during the Biafra War? These nations are extremely racist, so it doesn't make sense. Well, when you get to international politics, it gets more complicated, right? You can be racist and side with one thing or another, or you can be this and that and so forth. I will say Rhodesia and South Africa are probably threatened by the size of Nigeria. Nigeria is the single country that put the most pressure, external pressure on them to decolonize and to end apartheid. So Nigeria is huge, and Nigeria put a lot of pressure on them to end apartheid. Nigeria, at a point, led the boycott against the apartheid regime, which stopped their economy. To the point where the apartheid South Africa, sent like warships at the coast of Nigeria, but they weren't gonna do nothing, you know. They weren't gonna do nothing. Nigeria was getting them sanctioned in the UN. Um, and so forth. Nigeria was blocked. Nigeria wouldn't trade oil with any country that traded with them so long as they still had apartheid. And this is after the Biafra War, they were already talking that talk before the Biafra War. So, but just naturally, they felt that Nigeria, a united Nigeria, would be a bigger threat to them than a fractured Nigeria. So a lot of them were like, "Oh, it'd be better if we broke this thing up so that we can be the big dog, not these guys," right? But it didn't work for them and it didn't work for us. A lot of white South African mercenaries actually fought in the Biafran army, and a lot of Arab mercenaries like Egyptians and stuff like that fought in the Nigerian army. So the Biafra War, the alliances are very, very confusing, right? So like Soviet Union and Britain were on Nigeria's side. The United States was trying to act like it's in the middle, but it was really on Nigeria's side. France was trying to act like it's in the middle, but it was really on Biafra's side. Israel was on Biafra's side, then like switched half, switched halfway in the middle, and that kind of thing. And so the alliances, if you think of who is allied to who naturally and who has had, all of a sudden when it came to Biafra, it got really mixed up and muddy and that kind of thing and strange. Haiti was on Nigeria's side, big time. Tanzania was on Biafra's side, big time. All the Arab countries were on Nigeria's side. And then like most of the other African countries were on Nigeria's side. Some were neutral, right? Mm-mm. I know my nephew can see stuff like auras around people, what colors they are. Yeah, yeah. So these gifts, they exist. They exist. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Angelica. Is Chuku a new deity concept that was added to Odinani in recent years, past 200? No. So people keep saying this, and that's not true. Is people keep saying it, and it's just not true. I think like the Jesusification of Chuku is new, maybe in the past like 60 years, right? But no, Chuku has always been. There are communities called Umu Chuku, Chuku this, Chuku that. There's Aro Chuku, there's Chuku Opabi, Shrine. There's a thousand Ne Chuku Shrine, Ne Chuku Aruguele, Ne Chuku here, Ne Chuku there. People have been answering Chuku since the beginning of time, uh and we've always had the concept of the chi. So if you have the concept of chi, you have the concept of the chuku. It's the same thing, right? So yeah, no, it's chuku. Anyanwu, one of Anyanwu's name is a chuku okike, Eze Chukwu Okike n'eluigwe. Eze Chukwu Okike n'eluigwe, which is let's say King Chukwu, the creator in the sky, right? In heaven, in the heavens, in providence, right? So no, people would say, "Oh yeah, there was no Chuku is new." That's not true. There's always been Chuku. Now, the reason I say the Jesusification of Chuku is that the general Igbo idea of Chuku is that whatever Chuku wants to happen is already in motion. There's nothing anything or anyone can do to change it. It's just not going to happen. And so we don't necessarily appeal to Chuku for things, right? If you have a disease, it's Chuku that gave you the disease. If you got healed, it's Chuku that healed you, right? So this idea of like, oh, Chuku, please give me money. I'm trying to go to Malaysia. No, that's new, right? All that shit's new. When it comes to like regular interaction with like a force, there was more focus on Allah. There was way more focus on Allah than Chuku. But because of the arrival of like Christianity and things like that, people, even Odinani people, tend to focus more on Chuku now than Allah. So it's just what it is. But no, Chuku has always been the case. It's just that Chuku is just this distant thing. It's like an ancestor, right? The Chuku is very distant. It's something that's already been in place, right? So, um, well, I guess my ancestor analogy won't really make too much sense because I think people frame things different in the modern world. So never mind about that. So it's Chuku's like it's already happened, right? It's already like Chuku's own is it's already whatever Chuku wants to happen is it's already been written. Chuku is the author, right? Chuku is the author. So you're in the book. There's nothing you can tell the author now to start changing the book. It's already been published. It's out, right? That kind of thing. So that's the way our ancestors saw it. So and then also Chuku after the tragedy closed the door to Obi-Chukwu, and she kind of said, "I'm leaving all this alone," that kind of thing. So, but it's the story of Hodachi Nebere continues to repeat again and again and again and again and again and again, and again, that kind of thing. So, I don't know. Proud to have Niger roots. He said somebody posted something. Okay, okay, no, show what? Why would a moderator handle that? Okay, FYI, for a long time I did not know how. It says that there's no glands. Eventually, they found out that it was made from blood plasma. Damn, they found out it was made from blood plasma taken directly from the blood. Wow, that's awesome. Do Igbos tattoo? Yeah, for sure, definitely. Permanent and non-permanent. Permanent and non-permanent. What am the extent of power and influence of Ibini Ukbabi. Okay, so earlier I said that an irishi is as powerful, or it is like it's based on the works it can do, right? It's based on the works it can do. So throughout Igbo history, there'll be one shrine that becomes more like super popular. Like right now, Ogungun in Okija is super popular. Everybody goes to, not everybody, but people go to like for big ass deal kind of things, right? Go to Ogungun Okija. Before Ogungun Okija, it was Chuku Babi in Arochukwu, right? So it was just a matter of this thing really works, right? And it was respected and feared. And people from the whole of Igbo land, and they said even into like Ghana, like Togo, Ghana area, would travel all the way just to have their cases settled by Chuku Babi and that kind of thing. So the way Irishi are used in that particular respect is like a judge, right? An Irishi can be a judge for a trial. You understand? So when you and I are having a dispute, right? So the first is you and I are going to try to settle it amongst each other. If we can't settle amongst each other, we'll do what's called ipe, right? Which is we'll get a titled person, a titled elder, to sit down and serve as like a judge and hear both of our cases. If we don't agree with the judgment of this elder, we will actually get foreign elders, elders from another community, to come and hear the case. Now, in Igbo culture, there was this huge thing about getting foreigners to serve as judges because they have no skin in the game, right? So this was one of the services people from Arochukwu and Inri would provide often. Like, okay, hey, we need you guys to come hear this case. Okay, fine, we'll come, that kind of thing. You pay us, they come, we pay you pay them, you accommodate them, they hear the case, they go home. But again, this has already gotten to a high level at this point. There's already a big ass dispute. Now, if the humans, if we don't accept the judgment or whatever the humans gave us, we can take it to another level, which is taking it to an Irishi, right? And when you take it to an Irishi, every Irishi, especially if they hear cases, they'll have their different ways that they do trials. So one of the examples I know about is like they'll boil a ring, a metal ring, they'll put it in boiling water, and they'll have each person reach in and grab the boiling ring, right? And the general idea is the Irishi has made it so that if you are innocent, you can't get burnt by the water, but if you're guilty, you'll get burnt by the water. And some Irish will have it so that you're not the one who picks up the ring. It'll be like the oldest man in your family, right? So like some kind of like, you know what I mean? Like your grandfather or something's gonna. And if your grandfather doesn't believe you're innocent, then he could stop the thing and be like, hold on, right? But if they go through with it and you're guilty, then you're gonna get your grandfather's arm burnt off or your own. For a lot of the like Amadioha Irishi, they use bees often. So like an Irishi is a device, so it's a technology. I want you guys to understand that. So they use bees. Well, one of the things you'll do with bees, I don't know how they do this. They do it all over Africa. It's the most phenomenal thing you'll ever see. But they can get the bees to surround the hands and face of the guilty person. It's the craziest. As I'm saying this, I feel like I sound ridiculous, right? But they can get the bees to surround the hands and the face of the guilty person. You understand? That's one. I don't know if you've seen that video. There's one that went viral. I think maybe I don't know. It went viral, but it's this African community, and people are walking through like leaves, and like they're like two branches are held up like of a palm, I think, and the guilty person won't be able to pass through. You understand? So this is if you take it to the Irishi level, but by the time you get to that level, you guys really, for some reason, are not agreeing on the verdict of this case. You've gone through several levels of human being, right? If we're the same age, our age grade, our peers will actually serve as the judge, and then we can, if we don't respect their judgment, we can go to the elders and that kind of thing, right? So it, in the time of slavery, Ibini Ukpabi was the main one, right? That was like the last level, like, because the thing is about Ibini Ubabi is if you're guilty, you will not return. You're done. You understand? And we now know what they were doing was they were catching the guilty person and selling them into slavery, right? But if you're guilty, you will not return with Ibini Ubabi. So by the time we've gotten to that level, this dispute is very serious. People usually just go ahead and confess at that, like, okay, no, I did it, that kind of thing. But if you want to take it to that level, sure. So they said that people from as far as like Ghana and Togo would head all the way to Ibini Babi for judgment and so forth. So that was the general influence. But because of the Arochukwu's involvement in like the slave trade, and not in the sense that people were just like, oh, slavery is bad, like everybody's participating in it, but in the sense that they would have like mercenaries attack communities, and it was causing a lot of disturbance and so forth. And traditionally, they're not supposed to fight because of their connection to Allah, right? Traditionally, they don't fight. So what they'll do is they'll just get money and they'll pay different communities, mainly Ohafia, Item, these different communities in the area, to attack a community, and then they'll just collect up all the refugees and that kind of thing and sell them to slavery. So as this practice began to spread, trust in them, trust in the Arochukwu shrine that's Ibini Ubabi started to deteriorate. Um, and then a lot of anti-Aro sentiment started spreading and so forth, mainly just because of that system. And so that by the time the British came and started attacking it, it had already kind of fallen out of favor as a place to go get judgment, and so forth. And then from it falling out of favor, some other ones start gaining more popularity and that kind of thing. But yeah, every community has their own irishi, and then there are some that people will travel far and wide just to get judgment from. So right now, like Ogogo and Okija is very popular. People go there for like serious ass cases. I remember one time my my cousin nephew, it's hard to call him my cousin because he's like a different generation, but my cousin stole my uncle's generator. My uncle's poor, like he doesn't have money. He and so he was really proud to have this generator, and then this kid just stole it and sold it. And so, he was really pissed off about it. And so my dad said, okay, we're gonna go to Okija and we're gonna figure out who's guilty. And he's like, I did it, I did it. Oh shit. So there's a lot of Irish like where if you're guilty, you'll die, right? So like Ekwensu ones and things like that. So I don't know. Good question. That was kind of a long answer. I met an Uber driver and asked where he was from. After he asked many, he said he was from Biafra. He said, yeah, Chukwu is Chiuku, Big Chi, perfect. Well said. Realized he meant Nigeria, but didn't really mean Nigeria. I told him I have some Igbo roots, and he said he can tell by my nose. Yeah. Yeah, we know our people now. No, it was funny. I was at Igbo Fest, and this Black American guy, really, he looked more Ethiopian, but I was like, you might be one of my people, man. He's like, no, no, no. I mean, I know that he's probably because he's mixed, He's like, no, but he looked more like Camerooni, Ethiopian, right? And he's like, man, the Africans always trying to claim somebody. So, so yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we know our people, but at the same time, we were steady claiming, so no problem. Or non-com. No, no, it's cool. It was very good. It was good color commentary. Yeah, good color. I'll do my Game of Thrones shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it was heavy. It was heavy. Denani, is Chuku considered perfect? Not really. No, I don't like what does perfect mean? What does perfect mean? I don't even know how to say perfect in Igbo. Now, it doesn't mean there's not a word. My Igbo is like, you know, kind of medium level, right? But I don't even know how to say perfect in Igbo. But yeah, I don't. What does that mean? But like Chukwu is not always the good guy if you want to compare it to like the Abrahamic God. Chuku is not always the good guy, right? That's one thing to consider that might answer your question. Um, and whatever is going on in the world is Chuku. So if you think the world is imperfect, then you think Chuku is imperfect. If you think the world is perfect, then Chuku is perfect, right? It's just all of it is a reflection of Chuku. Chuku is the universe um, before the universe. The universe is the physical of Chuku, the physical manifestation, right? All right. So can I think the world is like I mean, is perfect the world? I think the world's I think the world is the way it should be. I mean, there's some bullshit happening, but it'll end. Excuse me. That was gross. I came across a certain African spirituality where they believe God the creator isn't perfect, still all powerful but not perfect. I don't think there's any African spirituality or belief system that's going to be like, oh yeah, God is perfect. That's just not. We're very realistic people. We're very realistic people, and we keep it a buck. I haven't been charging my phone this whole time. Let me go find my charger. I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna wear this blanket so I can hide my shorts. I'll be right back. I'll be right back, guys. Where's the damn phone? All right, found it. But yeah, as far as perfect, perfect is a funny word. Is Chuku perfect? I don't think so. But if you think the universe is perfect, then Chuku is perfect. So that's really the question. Hold on. That's all cricket. Yeah, but there's still the idea of Chuku being all powerful and all that stuff. So yeah, what you saw in the other system is probably the same as far as Odinani goes. Oh my god. Okay. Is it true that Nri priests had to be present during the coronation of the Oba of Benin and the Ata of Igala? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I've only heard about the Oba of Benin. I didn't know about the Ata of Igala. But I know that Igala and Nri, there's a certain connection they have with each other culturally. So, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they have to be there for the Oba of Benin. Now, why? I don't know. Why? I don't know. Does your name determine your destiny? Your name gives input into your path, your destiny, and your character. Your name gives an input. It has an influence. An influence. It doesn't determine, but it has an influence. So yeah. Seems like deities are very human, but like deluxe, flawed divinity. But we're like that. Yeah, yeah. It's just act like humans. That's why people always talk about like Greek mythology. I think all all the pre-Abrahamic kind of spiritual religion, all that stuff, I think they're all very, very misunderstood, right? They're all very misunderstood. But yeah. What's the origin of the red chief cap? Also, are there other African cultures? and in the Freemasons. Okay, I'm going to start with the red chief cap. So the the use, okay, the use of caps to determine a titled person has been going on since probably the beginning of time, right? To determine a titled person. But the very specific use of the red chief cap started in Onitsha, right? And the system in Onitsha, according to the British, was a lot more easy to manage than the other ones. So they wanted everybody, the British wanted everybody else to adapt a lot of different things from the Onitsha system. And one of the things they wanted people to adapt was the red chieftaincy cap, because they were going to give caps to people who were what they called warrant chiefs, right? Now, there were already caps, people were already using different caps in different communities, like the long one that was before colonialism, but during the time of the slave trade and things like that. The slave trade and colonialism is not the same era. People always like act like they're the same. They're not the same era, right? When one ends, the other one begins. So but yeah, so during like the slave trade era, but then there were hats before that, like the leopard hat and things like that. So, but that specific red cap comes from Onitsha, and then I think Onitsha people like bought them from the north. It's just a way of distinguishing who is titled and who's not, and that kind of thing, who has earned a title. Um, the other hat, are there also other African cultures and in the Freemason? They are also okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, other cultures wear them too. Yeah, yeah. Other cultures wear them too, but we that cap comes from like the north in Nigeria, right? And Masons wear it like Moors, the like what do you call them? Shriners and stuff. They wear it because it's from that region, if that makes sense, right? So we're influenced, or we were influenced the way the Shriners and them were influenced to wear the same things from the Sahel, North Africa, Sahel kind of region, right? But we just it's just a way of distinguishing a titled person, you understand? And yeah, that's really it. It's just a way of distinguishing. So historically there's been many different, there was one community that was using like safari hats at one point. They did like a documentary from like the 40s, I think, and like all the titled men were wearing like white safari hats. So wonderful. In like the Niger Delta, they were using bowler hats, the bowler hats, just whatever, but just some hat that makes you stick out. How do you settle being okay? How do you settle being Christian in your native culture, religion, practice? Like my spirit wakes up when I learn about it. For some reason, I feel like I'm not doing the right thing. Okay, all right. Well, I can't relate. I just can't relate. There's a lot of things that, people ask me, and I just like, hey, I can't relate to that. This is not how my brain works. Um, but I can imagine that's difficult. Um, give yourself time. Whatever's works for you will shine through, and then examine the source of your guilt, right? Is it fear? Right? Is it fear maybe from things you were told growing up? You understand. Just examine the source of your guilt. Follow your joy. Maybe it's just gonna cause you to double down and be more Christian. Then if that's what you're supposed to be, that's fine. But just examine the source of your guilt. If it's fear, then that's not. I wouldn't say that's a healthy way to operate and examine and so forth, right? Because you know where that fear came from. There's a lot of money and energy and bullets went into making you afraid of your ancestors, right? And making you afraid of who you are. So if it's fear, you should know where that's coming from, right? If it's fear, like if I know somebody's throwing baseballs, I'm walking by and something hits me in the head, I can assume it's the baseball, right? First, you know. So yeah, people were throwing propaganda, people were throwing things to make you fearful and pull away from the thing that gives you power and gives you strength and gives you grounding and purpose and a sense of self. And if you pull a person away from all that shit, you can get them to buy all kinds of stuff and sell you all types of stuff for very low prices and worship you and all that stuff. So yeah, there was a deliberate agenda to make you afraid of yourself. And if that's what's affecting you, then I would examine that. But if you're just uh Christian ass dude, just I don't know, double down on that, you know. Okay, cool. Can you talk about the Ekumeku resistance and how you they managed to fight the bird for so long? Okay, yeah, definitely. So, Ekumeku resistance. So the backstory. So the Ekumeku resistance happens in the communities that we now call Ika and Anyama, and then a little bit in Onitsha and Oguta, right? In those places. But all these communities are related to each other, right? They're all related to each other or connected to each other culturally. And so what happened was in the past, these communities were under the shadow of the Benin Empire, right? And eventually they started becoming stronger than Benin. So Abo, for example, uh, took over the waterways, like all the rivers. They started dominating all the rivers and so forth. Ishan ended up defeating Benin in a war. Anyama, all of them, they started kind of like becoming stronger than Benin, right? And so what ends up happening was when the British arrived, these communities already had extensive experience in resistance, right? Extensive experience in insubordination and all that stuff. So initially, what happened during the Ekumeku, like during that thing, was when the British first came. When they came by way of trade deals, right? um okay, we're gonna set up this church here and we're gonna do missions, we're gonna heal kids and that kind of thing, we're gonna set up the school, do all these things. So people were like, okay, yeah, sure, bring it in, yeah, cool, that's nice, bring it in, all this nice stuff, and so forth, right? And then they started trying, once they got their, of course, the system, once they get their fingers in, they start really squeezing. That's why, like, if you hear me talk about colonialism a lot, I always want people to like re-examine how they think about it, right? Because the idea is that they're just like marching through shooting people and being evil and all that stuff. That's not what happened. And if that's what you're looking out for, you're not going to see the next wave of it, right? You're not going to see the next wave of it. What they called colonialism then, we now call foreign investment. It was the same thing, right? Oh, bring in the foreign investors. They're going to build this and build factories and all that stuff, right? And so the first thing they tried to do was they tried that pissed off the Ekumeku people is they tried to have a man from Benin be like an overseer for the area. And the chiefs in that area were like, you're over my dead body. Like, we just got rid of these people. You know what I mean? Over my dead body kind of thing, right? So they rejected him. They actually ended up physically assaulting him. And then one of the chiefs was arrested. So when the chief was arrested, the Ekumeku were like, it's a mask, they're like all the masquerade societies of that area, right? So the masquerade societies of that area had already had this like code of secrecy amongst each other and that kind of thing. So what they started doing was they would wage these attacks on British installations, right? Or they would ambush the British and like kidnap them, burn their things down. They'd have wars with them. They'd do like battles with them. They'd be shooting back and forth. But it'd be like these like it'd break out here, and then they'd send all their forces there to come get it. And then another one breaks out over there, and then they send their forces over there to get it. And it kept happening over and over. Now at this time, the British government was not in control of the region of Nigeria. It was the Royal Niger Company that was in charge. You understand? And the Royal Niger Company was like the name said, it was a company. You understand? So they're really doing this stuff to the company, right? And so, they'll attack the installations in one place. Those people will rush, the children will rush there. They'll then use that to attack. So they begin to see that this is coordinated. There's some coordination going on here, right? They also learned that, of course, it's related to the arrest of that particular chief, and then a couple of things that they were trying to do. They were trying to ban polygamy. That people said over my dead body. They were trying to ban. The British were trying to ban these factories that people were starting to build. So what started happening was, at the end of the slave trade era, the British had this demand for palm oil because they had factories, they needed it for factories and shit like that. And so people were selling them the raw palm, but what started happening was people started figuring out what they're using the palm for, and they started refining it at home. And so these little, even till this day, you can see like the way they make palm oil. It's like this little kind of indigenous factory type of thing they have set up. And so people were setting up these little factories, and the British were trying to ban those. And it was like the big men that had those, right? And so the war broke out. And it was really just like the masquerade societies doing guerrilla warfare for like 30 years, right? Doing, was it 30 years? 30 years. So, but then like it came to a head when the British bombarded, I think Onitsha. They bombed, actually shelled Onitsha with boats. And then all hell broke loose and it became like an all out, real live, full blown fight. Because of the fight, the Royal Niger Company goes bankrupt, right? It goes bankrupt because of the fight. And the Royal Niger Company then withdraws and sells the colony to Britain. You understand? So because of the Ekumeku, the whole southern Nigeria gets sold to the government. And then the actual British colonialism starts from that era, right? So when the British come in and they defeat the Ekumeku, right? They end up defeating the Ekumeku. But during there was this like one of the last battles, it was like I had this book about it. It was some interesting stuff. So one of the things you'll notice in the Benin bronzes is these guys wearing these metal caps and they have like flutes. So one of the British were saying that like when they were fighting, they saw that they were coordinating on the battlefield using like humans that were buried in the ground, and it's just their head and their hands were up, and they would just be playing songs. And they're saying that the songs they were playing was coordinated with the birds. Like the birds would then like give signals and give signals and stuff. It was really interesting stuff. They had like cannons and smoke bombs and stuff, and it was crazy. But the actual British army ended up winning the fight. And at the end of it, they banned a lot of the masquerades in that Anyama area. So if even till this day, if you go to Anyama, they're not like there's not a lot of masquerade stuff going on compared to the other side of the river. Now the other side of the river, after the Ekumeku, they then start doing the Aba women's riots, about women's war, however you want to call it, right? And then because of that, on the other side of the river, they start banning a lot of women's institutions. So in Anyama, a lot of the masquerade institutions are like not there anymore, but a lot of the women's institutions are well preserved. And on the other side of the river, the women's institutions are not well preserved, but the masquerades are there. So it's just interesting stuff. This is the type of shit I like talking about. All right, let's go. Our spirituality, philosophy must be expressed through architecture. Yes. Urban design. Yes. Terminology, industrial. Absolutely. He said, okay. We need a video about secret societies, resistance forces, so we can prep. Prep for what, Angelica? No, I got you. Don't worry about it. Oh, my handsome Zaddy. I appreciate it. Private military companies of today, Royal Niger Company of the past. They say they're private, but well, that's what it is. So again, the picture people get of colonialism, especially in Africa, is not like I want to give the accurate one so that as it comes again, you'll see it like, okay, there it is, right? There it is. You understand? So, but yeah, no, Royal Niger Company, the same thing as what they're now calling foreign investments, exact same thing, right? The Some of their documents, though, I'm not gonna lie, some of the documents from the Royal Niger Company is very funny to read. There was one that they were complaining that how annoying the Nigerians were. And that the British should come and shoot these people because they're driving them crazy. But they were doing a thing called Dash, where you had to pay all of the titled men a certain fee to be in the community. And at first, they were cooperating, but after a while, it became like there's no way in hell this like 12-year-old kid is a titled man. Like, so they were writing it like at first we thought it was going to be like one or two people. Then after a while, they just all just started showing up with hats and just stuff like that. So yeah, the another thing that was interesting about the Ekumeku was that the British were surprised that the men doing the Ekumeku thing were still sending their kids to school, like to British school, but then like they would be shooting at the British at night. So just stuff like that. Like it's interesting. So, but yeah, yeah, yeah. Thoughts on the Igbo people of Bioko Island? Biae. Everybody keeps talking about these Igbo people at Bioko Island, except these alleged Igbo people in Bioko Island. If they exist, let them speak up. I don't know why everybody talks about them. I've never seen one comment, hey, I'm from there. I've never seen that in my life. Even if they got to say it in Spanish, say it in Spanish. So I don't know what their deal is. Maybe we're going to meet them. They're going to be on some other time. Who knows? But I would like to see these alleged Bioko Igbo people. I don't know why they don't come out and talk. Everybody's always talking for them, right? Like there's some like a Bigfoot, you know. But I did see they had some videos on YouTube, and then I tried to add one of them on Facebook, and that was taking forever, and they didn't accept. So I kind of because I was curious, you know. Under my different similarity being Ozo Ezala. Are they the same? No, they're not the same. So Ozo is a very specific society, and what an Ozo is doing is that they're making themselves a one-to-one representation of their chi in the world, right? They are making themselves aligned. They're aligned, like it's total alignment with your chi. Like you've achieved that will, right? You're saying that you've the thing that your chi came in the world to show everybody is here, right? And so that's what that title kind of means as far as also. In doing that, they're also aligning themselves with Chuku in the scheme of things. They're aligning themselves with Igwe in the scheme of things. That's why the head of the Ozo, people think Igwe means king. The head of the Ozo society is called Igwe. Igwe is Amadioha, that kind of thing, right? Ozo, even the word Ozo, one he who hides, right? He who hides, like Chuku goes in the chamber, hides, that kind of thing. Same thing as Eze too, Eze, hiding, right? What's another Nze, hidden, or the hidden thing, the hidden one, the hidden person, right? They're all lining yourself up with Chuku, right? They're all the manifestation of the divine nature in the world, right? Ezeala, Ezeala is a different title, but more or less the same thing. Or let me not say the same thing. It's a different title, but all of them allude to a person who is like a living ancestor, right? A living ancestor. Ezeala can also be the person who is like the mouthpiece for the Allah shrine, which in Ozo is not at all, right? Ozo is Igwe, right? Is Allah, right? So yeah, but both of them are living ancestors. That's what that means. Thank you. Can't say they might be listening. Hey, tap in. Sanguru in Hindu, the cobra is called Naga. And it's connected to the unseen realms of the universe, helps you connect, see the unseen realms. That's a vague description. No, I understand what you mean. That's dope. I'm doing more. But yeah, there's the idea of the snake being the go between, the conduit, the in between, the messenger. It's all there. All right. Guys, looks like you guys are out of questions. Looks like you guys are out of questions. Just in time too, because I'm tired. So, anyways, guys, this has been a really good discussion. I've been I've been talking about this for like the last 2-3 months, but I've been studying Afa, how to do Afa. I've been thinking about doing Afa on here, but I don't want to be doing Afa at night. So you're not supposed to be doing Afa at night. So I might have to do like a different kind of live where it's like the morning and I'm doing Afa. But it's interesting stuff. I did Afa a few days or about a month ago, more than about a month ago, and gave me some really, really, really interesting answers. But I've been learning and practicing, and I've gotten good. I've gotten good. So that being said, guys, again, we're signing up for Kedu for the next session. Those of you who are in Kedu, there's an optional free month for coaching, just because the coaching was like all scrambled this time, just changing between peoples and that kind of thing. So there's an optional free month. It's optional. If you want more, it's fine. This next time around, we're going to give the option of like text coaching instead of just vocal, because a lot of people have anxiety, which, I should have seen, that's cool. I get it. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. But a lot of people have anxiety, and that's a lot of pressure and that kind of thing. A lot of people just prefer to text. So texting will be an option for the next time around as far as Kedu goes, for your coaching. But yeah, for those of you who are not signed up, sign up. We are having a good ass time and we're learning a lot there. Traditional medicine class is going on right now. I will not advise anybody joining now because you'll miss out a lot. But the next session will be in February. February. So if you're interested, join patreon.com/themedicineShell. Like Phoenix says, I am old and I also want to sleep. Do. Indigo snake. Stuff. All right. As always, uno gade, uno geto, ngobla, uno tiriaka, gade no wa, gade otwa neke, norie, na fo, anko. Ise kachifo one, kachifo, jishike.